Creatives are undervalued. Their ideas, everyone's scared of them, or it's left to the last minute. It kills good marketing.
I didn't have a passion for online learning. I didn't give a fuck about e-learning, essentially. Do whatever it takes to give you enough free time and money to do your passions. I think if you want to, or you think you could have run your own business and you think you're cut out of this entrepreneur life, go and work in a startup for 2 years. And I guarantee that after the end of 2 years, it would probably have put a lot of people that thought they could have done it off. But I don't think anyone can be an entrepreneur. On this month's episode of the Views My Own podcast, we'll be looking at why most businesses fail, why creative work is so undervalued, and we'll be discussing old school sales versus the modern way of selling. If this is your first time on the Views My Own channel, don't forget to subscribe and join the thriving business community at viewsmyown.social. What is it about creative work that makes people undervalue it so much? As a creative agency owner, I get pushback on prices, people not wanting to pay invoices up front, and customers thinking they're experts and can do a better job. But you wouldn't see that kind of undervaluation in other professions. I see loads of dull content because creative is an afterthought or done on the cheap. So why is creative work like design, video, animation, and copywriting undervalued so much?
I think creative work, everyone thinks they can do it because at any industry where there's a really low barrier to entry, right? And anyone, because the problem with creativity is everyone has ideas and thinks that their own ideas are good, right? We all naturally do as humans. You don't sit there thinking I have all my ideas and everything I think about in life is shit. I'm just a shit person. You think my ideas are good and I could probably do that. And it doesn't matter what it is. That's the reason people hire you in and then tell you what to do because they can't help themselves. So it's such a low barrier to entry. Everyone thinks they have ideas, and everyone thinks that their ideas are better than other people's ideas. And that's the problem. You're always going to have that problem when it comes to creativity. Everyone's always going to try and stick their oar in or think that they do it better. The only caveat to that, the only way you can ever address that or fight that is with results. That's what we found. If your numbers are better than someone else's, if they go, my ideas are better than yours, and you'll go, let's compare results, and your results are far higher. It's not. You've just won. That's the only way you can truly.
I wonder if it's the relationship though, because I think a lot of people that are decision makers are usually older and they've been in business longer and they've had to get themselves into a position of making decisions, unless they've started their own business. And I think creatives traditionally, you think of like young, fresh out of college, uni. It's not proper work. You just cock about on the internet for a bit, or you just it's like colourful graphics. So I don't think decision makers or like the older generation realize the skill and talent that's involved in it, and I don't think they like paying big money to young people.
Bang on with that. I think I've seen a tweet this week saying the skills that were seen as fluffy or Mickey Mouse degrees like design, dancing. Yeah. Now actually you've got YouTubers making millions with video content. You've got Etsy stores from people who've done their own artwork, and you've got dancers on TikTok making millions. All of those, but I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I think they're valued. Business owners are thinking that's not a proper job. You're taking the piss asking for proper money from that. But the irony being, take for what Iron Productions do, for example. So when they do an animated explainer video, and then they see what price we quote, they don't realize how many people are involved in that process and how many different stages that an animated explainer video has to go through. So you've got someone that has to take everything you do as a business or a service or product, whittle that down into the punchy. Needs to have a hook, be engaging. It needs to succinctly say exactly what it is that you do or what problem you fix, and be interested enough to make people click and want to buy from you. They want to place that on their website. So you've got that. So you've got the script writing element. You've got a voiceover artist. You've got somebody that's going to hand draw your assets. You've got an animator that's then going to draw them digitally. You've got to sync it all up. There's like 5 or 6 people that are involved at different stages of that process. I don't think people realize that when they can go on Fiverr or People Per Hour and see somebody in the third world offering it for like £47. But then they want to go and take that product. Sorry, they want to go and take that animated explainer video, put it on their website, and use it to sell their £2 million products. It's like, why would you spend 40 quid and then expect something that's going to deliver £2 million worth of business to your business? They don't make the same value because they see themselves as doing a proper job, and what you do is just it's cartoons.
I think you bang on, and I think I have that conversation at least less nowadays, but at least once a month where they go, I love the stuff that Iron puts out, and I love Mike Winnett's stuff. Can you do that for me? Yeah. You say, yeah, sure, these are our prices. Oh, well, I could go to Fiverr and get it for 40 quid though.
Go then.
But you haven't ever seen anything off Fiverr. You've seen Mike's stuff because it's good and it gets shared. And it takes time and money.
Fuck off, see how well it does.
Yeah.
But honestly, if it does well off someone off Fiverr and the chances of it doing well, I mean that's like a 1 in 1,000, 1 in a million chance of it doing well. Trust me. Yeah. We've used plenty of stuff off Fiverr. Back in the early days, we had no money. It was fucking shite. But the other thing that people forget about is conceptual time. People really don't understand that piece because they go, oh, well, you know, I when I've written blogs in the past, it only took me an hour or 2 hours. Well, yeah, of course it did. And how shit was it?
Well, the fact that you
did I liked your post on LinkedIn this week.
Yeah.
That was good.
Well, my stripper post.
Yeah.
Modelled on the very delicious Mr. Winnett.
Yeah. Cut the pictures in, please.
Abs added at request.
Yeah.
I guess the idea was that you were saying exactly that content and ads are shit because they don't put enough time into it.
That's exactly what it is. And what we get a lot of the time is people think that the problems come with people who don't have great marketing strategies, or you know, they don't have the right processes in place, or it's not executed and delivered in the right areas and the right channels, right? All that stuff's important. I'm not saying it's not. I think people got the underwear in a twist a little bit underneath the post, saying you know, that I was basically saying that all that shit didn't matter. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that a lot of the time, the reason that there are so many adverts out there and so much shit we go through every day, and you look at it and you think, who the fuck's written that? Oh, who's came up with that advert? It's fucking rubbish. And the reason being is because they go through this whole process of developing this strategy, and that's 6 months, and then everything's kind of, they come up with some top level ideas, and then they go through a sign-off process, and it's got to go through all the different departments to make sure this is right and it fits in with their process, and eventually then they come to it and they go, right, we've got to come up with some creative, and they spend 2 hours coming up with some creative, and it's absolutely fucking pants. Or they let some creatives in a room come up with something that might actually do well, and then it goes right down through that sign-off process again that just dilutes it into a pile of shit. And that's the problem. The creatives are undervalued. Their ideas, everyone's scared of them, and or it's left to the last minute, and it kills good marketing. It kills it, because everything should be led by the creative. Everything should be led by the thing that you are saying to your target audience that is going to cause them to act.
Yeah.
If it's not led by that, you're doing it wrong.
We get the same thing when we're doing scripts for people's animated explainer videos. It's like we basically write scripts for a living. We know how it needs to be structured to deliver the results that you're paying us money to do. Yeah. Yet you want to add another 3, 4, 5 lines, and you don't realize that then kills the whole thing. And then when it doesn't, if it doesn't work, you'll go, well, that didn't work as well as we wanted it to. Well, of course it didn't, because you didn't let us do what we wanted to do, which we actually are experienced in doing for multiple different businesses.
You know what I've started saying when that happens as well? So I've actually started pushing back pretty brutally and saying, listen, right, this is what I'm saying will work, because I know what works. That's why you hired us in. If you choose to change it, that's fine. But I am petty enough to say I told you so if it goes tits up, and I will do it. I do it to clients quite regularly, and I do go, I told you not to do that. It didn't fucking work. Are you going to try what I said in the first place now?
The thing with the conceptual time as well, I think when people, especially when it comes to video or animations, they look at it and go, that's a 60-second animation. I think some dumb fucks think that it takes 60 seconds to make. Like, you make it in real time.
This is the point I wanted to make. Like, a lot of time you'll turn up on a video shoot, like me personally, because I do them here I am. Yeah. And they'll go, oh, it's just pointing the camera though, isn't it? And there's like obviously so much more that goes into it. And whether it's, you know, scripting or the conceptual time or the actual production time, people kind of look at certain aspects of production, just go, is that it? I put a post out on LinkedIn not too long ago. I was doing a video shoot, music video, and just rocked up with my camera, one of the ones we film on VAMO here. And they were like, oh, is that it? I was like, it's $2,000 camera, mate. Like, the lens is probably the same. Like, it's decent bit of kit. Like, I know what I'm doing. So I was like, right, okay. So I just put a flash on top of it. You'd never use a flash for video because, you know, what's the point in just having a flash and then just leave it? And they're like, oh yeah, that's better. I was like, just don't have a fucking clue what you're on about. Yeah, but it happens all the time. And
I think that is just an undervaluation of the profession. I don't think you do that with a plumber when he turns up at your house. And you don't say,
that spanner's too small.
I really want a Worcester boiler, but I'd like to pay half for it. And I'm not going to pay you today. I'll wait till see if it warms the house up before we pay. And it's like, come on.
Yeah.
It's mad. When I used to get that pushback, oh, how much? Like, I can get it cheaper. I always used to say, what car do you drive? And if it was a decision maker, business owner, 9 times out of 10, they'd say like a sort of high-endish car. So they'd say, like BMW, Audi, Mercedes, whatever. It's like, but there's cheaper cars. But you don't buy those cheaper cars because you want that gravitas that comes with that. Like you're coming to us because, like you said, you've seen our work, you've seen the quality, but now you're then saying that, well, I can get price from these people. It's like a third of the price. Well, yeah, but you've had to go and find those people. You didn't even know they existed before you started looking around. So that you're paying for that, I think, as well. Yeah. So they definitely are undervalued. And I think that's the reason why. It's an age thing.
We'll probably get accused of being salty creators again, like Thursday with the copyright and stuff. But I do think there's something in it.
Well, you know what? Well, us creatives are emotional people, and it fucking hurts.
No, but I do think as well. But going on to the age thing, and we've mentioned on previous episodes, I also think that creatives are traditionally bad at displaying their worth and asking for their worth as well. So I think they need a bit of belief in their own
well, naturally, as
cost, price
structure. Yeah, as naturally as creatives you don't. It's like that's why artists chop their ears off and stuff.
Yeah,
you hate your own stuff. So when you go, give me some money for that pile of shit that I hate.
Yeah,
I hate everything I've ever created, written. The minute I read it a week later, I think, oh, fucking rubbish.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if creatives started saying, so what is it you want this ad or this animation or this video to achieve? And they say, sell more of our stuff. How many of those things would you like it to sell? How much would that generate your business? Well, the cost of me to do this piece of work is 30% of what you want it to achieve. I wonder what the results would be there. Because in theory, you should think of it like that.
Do you think split payments on invoices are fair within creative?
You do that, right?
We do 50-50.
Yeah.
Ideally up front, but sometimes you'll get, we're a bit nervous and we'll go 50-50, but really.
We do 100% up front and kind of refuse. We don't budge on that. What we do budge, because we do a 6-month minimum contract, we do budge on the contract length. So we will say you can trial us for 2 months or 3 months, something like that. We'll cut that down. But I just think I know people who have had digital agencies or similar businesses in the past. Very, very smart people, but they've collapsed either because they've relied too much on project work and no regular income.
Yeah.
Or they have relied on shitty payment terms from huge corporates, which just fucking kill small businesses. Which, I think you have to do everything you can to try and get as much money up front as possible for cash flow purposes, or you just die. You're a service-based business. It's your time is money, and you need that cash flow to be able to pay your staff.
And from a buyer's point of view as well, do you think they're going to be happier working on your work and come up with a better idea if they've already had their money up front? Which are they going to try harder with? It's going to be the guy that's paid them the money up front and trust them. I think it's just a get out for some people. What they mean is, if we don't like it, we're not going to pay you. When you look online, it can feel like everyone is smashing it. Post about monthly revenue, new followers, but starting a business is stressful and risky. More fail than succeed. And in my opinion, not everybody is cut out to be an entrepreneur or business owner. Approximately 20% of small businesses fail within the first year, and 50% fail to make it to 5 years. If you want your business to succeed, it's important to understand these risks so you can try and avoid them yourself. Here's our views on why most businesses fail.
I mean, there have been many failed because they had me in them. That was one of the reasons.
You had some failures, Dan.
But mine was, I've had, I mean, what was it, 6 before offended?
Can you remember it?
Yeah. I've got, we had Bob and Weave. That was a clothing business. We're trying to sell
good name.
fashionable clothing into MMA and boxing. But MMA and boxing people don't give a fuck about fashion, so it's pointless. They're all in my dad's loft store, I think, in boxes. Second one was I believe that was War Balm. That was where I made Vaseline in my kitchen for fighters with sensitive skin. Again, fighters don't give a fuck about sensitive skin, pointless. Then I did the New You card, discount card, but just, there was no real unique selling points to it. What else did I do? Then Vonkel, which was an app where you could, a video app for young people applying for jobs. I did the fucking, what was the next one? Then I started making random apps. So I did the Rail, which was like a TK Maxx online. Only it was just shit. It was basically all the older Bob and Weave stuff. Anything else I could get my hands on. I had I did what was the next one? Oh, Random Pet. So my idea was to do an app where you can, if you go on it, you can get discounted pet products for your pet. But because I wasn't good enough at coding, I hadn't figured it out. it was just like a random, you pressed it and it gave you a random pet item.
Wow.
And I thought, I just can't get past this. I'm not smart enough and I can't pay anyone to do it. So I'll just call it random pet. So if you might have a dog, but you like press it and it like hamster fucking underpants would come up, 10% off. Pointless again. And then the last one was where I really lost the plot, and that was where I managed to code this little character that was a little chicken, and you could just kind of tap it. But it was a random thing again. And depending on how many times you petted this chicken, eventually it'd lay an egg, and inside the egg would be some sort of prize, like a Sports Direct voucher or something like that. But again,
so would people pay for that app? So people would pay for
no,
that?
it was completely free. I didn't.
Where did you make your money there?
I didn't. That's the point. which is why most businesses fail, by the way, because they don't make any money or cash flow's fucking shit. Which is, and then luckily, I came up with Offended and met Dean, who is an actual real business person, and we started making money.
I've seen people say that the reason why they die is the passion goes in the founders or the money runs out. Right. And I think that's probably like the top of the funnel answer is that, isn't it? It's like, have you run out of money or your passion for that idea runs out. I just think there's a lot of shit ideas, and I think a lot of people have been told or sold the dream that they need to escape the 9 to 5 and set up their own business. Like, a lot of people aren't cut out for running their own business.
It's not. I mean, we had a chat recently where we did kind of one-to-ones, and one of our members of staff were moving towards being a director of the business, but we explained the differences between being a head of in a business and being an actual shareholder director of a business, and what that actually entails in terms of pay, in terms of if the business doesn't perform well and all the rest of it. And to be fair to her face was like she couldn't believe like the ups and downs and struggles of it, and it's not just a constant steady income. And just because you're a shareholder, you don't suddenly earn loads of money. And you might be a shareholder, but there's a good chance that any liabilities are on your head as well if it fucks up, and then at the same time it might never sell, so you're never going to make those millions that you thought you were going to make. You just got shares in something that might just collapse one day. And kind of the realities of it were kind of lost on her, and it's only natural because she's never done it before. She's never been there. She's never been in a business. She's never tried to start a business. She had no clue what any of that entailed, but it was a huge shock to her.
Yes. Mike got into a bit of a disagreement with someone on Twitter talking about something similar, where this guy saying anybody can be, if they have the right support and time, anybody can become an entrepreneur, and you kind of took
bollocks.
Yeah, and it's you've got to define what entrepreneur is. Now, if entrepreneur is just can set up a business, well, any idiot can jump on Company's House and set up a business, right, for a few quid. But actually being a successful entrepreneur, I think not everybody can do this. I don't think it's something that everybody can do. No. There are some people that can't ask for money. Processes aren't very good at. The admin they're terrible at. But then also there's the other stuff where it's like other people are relying on you to know all the answers to stuff. Like you might have, if you've got 5 members of staff, you've got 5 mortgages to pay before you can pay yourself, or you kind of take on everybody else's problems as well. I think there's a lot more to it than just anybody can be an entrepreneur. And I think anybody that's pushing that narrative, they're probably selling something which is join my group and you can be an entrepreneur. Like I think that's the only reason they're saying it, because
anyone who's really done it is never going to tell you that, because it's fucking nonsense. It's probably the hardest fucking journey. It's a ball ache. It's stressful. You go through that many ups and downs and breakdowns and all sorts of fucking shit. That
for a lot of people, being a well-paid employee is probably less stressing and a happier life and easier life than running a business doing the same thing. Even.
Yeah, I think it's quite a dangerous message to say anybody can be. It's definitely
I think so. And when people say, "Oh, with the right support," it's like, so how much support can you give one person to achieve that goal? I think it's an awful lot. So I don't think you can do that at scale either. I think if you want to, or you think you could have run your own business, and you think you're cut out for this entrepreneur life, just go and work in a very early stage startup. And I would say go and work there for maybe 2 years, a bit like national service in the old days. Go and work in a startup for 2 years, ideally in the industry that you want to set up a business in.
Yeah, definitely.
So and then you're getting paid to learn. And I guarantee that after the end of 2 years, it would probably have put a lot of people that thought they could have done it off
100%.
than would do it. So that's my advice for anyone that wants to be an entrepreneur. But I don't think anyone can be an entrepreneur.
You had any failures, Mike?
In business? Well, I'll take Learning Heroes as an example. So Learning Heroes was the business that myself and Ian had, and it did quite well. originally we were going to try and sell, so it was online training courses, and originally we tried to partner with like websites like Monster and recruitment companies, and it was for anybody that was going to a job interview that might have failed. We wanted the recruiters to sell them access to these courses to help improve the candidates so they'd have a better chance of success at the next interview. That was the thought process, right? And we were going to charge these candidates £40. We got a partnership with Monster, and they sent out an email shot to 1.1 million candidates. We only had something like 11 inquiries off that. And I think we might have closed like 4 or 5 sales. It was terrible. That would have been a failure. But what we realized is we were targeting the wrong person with the wrong proposition. We could only sell 4 or 5 of that product at 40 quid. None of us would have made a successful business doing that. So we were targeting the wrong person with the wrong thing. As soon as we then started to target somebody else and put a $5,000, $10,000 price tag on that product, we sold 340 of them, which is mad, isn't it? So that the same business idea, we couldn't sell for 40 quid. Yeah. But we could then take it and just slightly change it and then target somebody else, and we could sell it for between 5 and 10 grand a year.
Different businesses have it's the same with us. Like a lot of what we do is just the creative element. So we don't muck about with paid campaigns, don't do any of that shit. But if you when we were going to small businesses and startups and things like that are expecting big returns, just doing some creative and giving them a creative campaign isn't enough. If it's not being put down the right channels, if it's not got the right strategy behind it, if it's not got the right paid specialist behind it, it's probably going to fall on its ass, right? Yeah. So what we found that actually going to medium-sized to enterprise businesses, we're a lot more successful with that because they already have those elements in-house. What they don't have in-house a lot of the time, very good ones in-house, is the creatives, the good ideas, the things that are actually going to make that budget go further. Yeah. And that's where our ideal. So when we were going in trying to sell it, it was either not going well or it was fucking falling on its ass. People were getting pissed off, expecting us to be their entire marketing team for fucking $2,000 a month. Nonsense. The big boys, it's more suited. It suits their processes. It suits the structure they've already got in place. And I suppose it's the same with any business, isn't it? You've got what is it? Pivoting. That's a fashionable word, isn't it?
It's recognize when to quit.
When to quit. It's not always a bad thing.
Yeah. Learning Heroes would have failed if we'd carried on down that route, I feel. But equally, we pivoted, and then it was like target the affluent. And as soon as you start targeting, so that could have been a failure. But there's been, we nearly failed during lockdown when we were doing, we were making videos for people. We weren't
Habits as well.
Habits. Yeah, it was like
cease and desist.
We weren't making much money on. Well, we weren't making any money. We were actually losing money when you actually worked out how long it was taking to do stuff for people. Which is a shit business model. If we're not making any money, let's carry on doing it for another month. Maybe it changes.
I did that 6 times, mate.
Yeah. But you missed out your homemade whey protein.
Oh, I did. Fucking hell, yeah. Yeah, give me protein. I still think there's something in that protein
subscription-based protein service. I remember this.
I thought it'd be fucking. But the mistake there was getting whey liquid off a farmer. I don't think that many people will fail businesses because of that. That's just me.
Do you think it's because you didn't do enough market research? Jumped in too quick. Yeah, I've got a business idea. I think it's going to work. You jump in, you throw some money at it.
100%, mate. I don't think I researched any of those businesses. I just
we had a chat. But what you've done there, Dan, I think you might, from an outsider looking in, right, is you've gone, I like going to the gym. I like doing MMA. This is the environment I'm surrounded by. So it was almost like, what can I shoehorn into my passion? Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people make with businesses.
100%.
Follow your passion is like stupid. It's nice if you can get paid and monetize and make a career business out of your passion. But I've always looked at it a different way, which is do whatever it takes to give you enough free time and money to do your passions and the stuff that you enjoy. Like 100%. I didn't have a passion for online learning. I didn't give a fuck about e-learning essentially, but the model was right. The sector was ripe to be disrupted. Yeah. And I knew that we had a sort of 3-4 year plan where we could build that business the plan was 10 million and sell it. And then I'd have enough money in my pocket to actually do the things that I was passionate about, which was invest in property. Yeah. That was literally it. It was just my vehicle to supply me enough money to do the things I was interested in.
Who was it who said that if you want to build a successful business, don't do the thing you're passionate about. Find something that other people can't stand doing. Yeah. And do that for them. Like I don't know. Yeah. Cleaning and there's huge cleaning businesses out there.
What is it? There's gold in shit. Cleaning. There's another thing.
Yeah.
Confucius said that, I think. Another thing I think people have kind of got obsessed with is funding and seed funding and that. Their goal is to just get investment into their business, not realizing that that's day one of your business now. If you get all that funding in, you've now got to do the business. Most people dine out on, we just raised 2 billion, 200 million, 20 million, 2 million in funding. Great. That funding's meant to be so you can now build the business and grow. I would put money on it that if you're spending your own money and it's a bootstrap startup, you will try harder. You'll make better decisions. You'll be less wasteful.
If you're like me and Dean, and no loan provider or investor in the fucking world will touch you, you have no option but to do it with your own money. But you're a lot more careful with it. We won't just take money out if it's not there.
Believe it or not, this might come as a surprise to you, I actually invested in a female fashion brand many years ago.
Right.
And I invested £30,000 into this business.
Yeah.
And I've not seen a penny or heard from them since, pretty much.
Right. Brilliant.
But they all took a salary.
Yeah, I bet.
They all took a salary.
I bet it was a decent one as well.
Yeah. But then they'd always say to me, like, I don't understand how your business did so well. And I was like, because I wasn't paying myself
crazy
30 grand a year salary. Like, I would pay myself what was in the bank account at the end of the month. After all the costs have been stripped out. So I pay myself £350 a month for a few months. Yeah. You've all gone, oh, there's 3 grand. No, it doesn't matter if we sell anything or we get this to, we get this into big retail shops. Yeah. Because they're taking the salary. So there's no urgency. No. And I believe that was one of the reasons why it failed. And it was pretty cool as well. It was like if you were pregnant and you had a C-section trying to sell it for him, now help him out. Right. There was like aloe vera in the fabric and it would help with the healing process and stuff like that. I thought it was quite cool.
What happens when you wash the clothes? Does aloe vera come out?
Oh, I don't know.
That's why it failed.
That's why it failed.
Right, was that one wash and it's just a normal t-shirt?
One wash. But yeah, no, so it was to compete with like Sweaty Betty. It was for like affluent sort of business type women. It was quite interesting. Cool. I won't say the name. Insider trading. Buy the shares, please, so I can get my money back. But yeah, no, so that was, but I always think I think if they didn't have investors, that would have been more likely to succeed than, living a year off my money.
100%.
Do you think Offended's been the most successful out of all your startup ideas? You would say it 100% is, right? So do you think that's down to Dean? Or do you think that it was a better idea as well? So it was a good idea, and you've got a better.
It was a better idea, and it was something that was something that was developed throughout all the other failures as well. So it was something that I developed and became good at, and the brand, and I realised there was a space for it. But in terms of the commercial element of it, that's 100% Dean. Yeah, his mind is a lot more suited to that. And what I realised was because I'd done 6 startups pretty much on my own, by the one I did with my brother, 11 Week, which. To be fair to him, the guy sold it into all sorts of stores and all sorts of places. But the element that is different there is Dean. So yeah, I might be the ideas guy, but without Dean's commercial business brain, the ideas mean nothing.
Yeah, I think that's why like we work. I think our skill sets dovetail each other. Is that right? Our skill sets dovetail each other.
I think the models. If I was to start a business now, I wouldn't start a nice to have business. I'd be selling something that is a must-have and using our marketing and sales techniques now to just own that space.
So would you say model first is more important than follow your passion?
Yeah, model and product first rather than follow your passion.
It's interesting, isn't it? 'Cause that's the counter advice to what a lot of these people would say.
Yeah, I think people tend to do what they like. Like I used to sit after work and try and list out all these business ideas that you'd want to do. Like one of them was like shit hot curry was one, and drawing it all out on the livery of the van and everything. And he was going to drive around delivering curry, and he's like, "It's a terrible idea." But I think that's all right.
One of my shit ideas.
Shit hot curry.
I had this idea.
Like a pun on diarrhea, to be honest.
Right, so I had this business idea, which was going to be, like white van man, like a white van man, but it was going to be the white tan man.
Right.
Or the white tan van. And it was going to be basically, it was going to be like mobile, like beauty spa. So you'd go in and you could do your nails in there. You could have all your tan done. It would like pull up on your drive. You'd get in and it was going to be this idea. Anyway, I researched it and there was somebody that was converting vans to do this. And I was thinking franchise it all over the country. Is cold calling dead? If you've seen the headlines, it would sound like there's no place in business for dinosaurs like me anymore. When I came up, I was on a dialer, it was outbound calls and dealing with constant rejection. Getting past the gatekeeper was a skill. Now it seems there's ways to bypass the gatekeeper and use social selling and modern techniques to get that sale. Joining us in the VAMO studio, we've got Holly Allen, who coaches SDRs, and Fred Copestake, the author of Hybrid Selling, to share some of their views on the modern way of selling.
I think my experience of working with Mike, certainly in our last startup, was there was there was lots of activity that would get leads into the pipeline, right? So free PDFs you could download, loads of social posting, all of that. But then where we actually got our sales and where we got our money was Mike getting on the phone, speaking to people, booking meetings, doing demos. It was the hard graft that nobody wanted. And Mike's like kind of odd. He's fine with rejection. So he'll do 40, 50 calls within a day.
With a face like mine on a night out, and you'd get used to it as well, mate.
But you are used to rejection. And I think you touched on it earlier. You have to kind of be a bit odd to be able to live with that daily. No wonder none of us want to do that. Who wants to get told no 50 times a day? But that was sales. Is it completely? Are we just avoiding it, or is it totally dead?
I think a lot of startups die because most people don't want to do that bit. It's easy to hide behind email sequences and say nurture campaigns and all that stuff. I think a lot of startups, owners, founders, whatever, prefer to do that stuff. I'm guessing, because I've not worked in that environment for a long time, because we've worked for myself for so long, I'm guessing there's a lot of people sat in call centers or that are supposed to do outbound sales, that if you said to them, do you want to phone these 100 leads, whether they're cold or warm, it could be a cold list or a warm list, or do you want to write 3 posts, share a time that you've, a vulnerable post on Thursday, share something in your personal life on Tuesday. I guarantee, maybe not guarantee, I reckon that most people would rather do 3 posts on LinkedIn and their pipeline or their activity would be, well, that got 17 likes, that got 23 likes, because that's easier to do than actually phone those 100 people that have actually put their hand up and said, I've got a problem or I'm interested in your product. What do you think? Would you say people prefer to do that now because it's easier? Or do you just think, I'm wrong, that is how you sell nowadays? Unfortunately, Mike, the way you sell is dead. That's the way you sell now.
So I would say if you're not posting on LinkedIn, building your brand, like you are missing out on a potential selling avenue and like a lot of opportunities. I don't think there's like you have to just social sell and that's it. Like if you're sick at cold calling and you can book 5 meetings a day through the phone, like absolutely cold call. If you are really good at creating emails that get a super high open rate, like do that. And I think that, in my opinion, I think salespeople should like spread themselves across all of those different avenues. Like we're so lucky nowadays in that it's not just relying on door-to-door selling. We've got LinkedIn, we've got the phone, we've got videos, we've got loads of cool like video platforms like Vidyard, for example. Like use them all because like some people, like you said that you're not a fan of voice notes, but like some people that I've prospected into, they've been like, oh my God, I've had 300 emails from SDRs today. You've sent me a voice note. Like, yes, let's book this meeting in now just because I admire your skill for doing that.
I don't listen to them. Even when my mates send me them, I just think, fuck off. Text like a normal person.
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel. Do you know what? Like, even if it's in a WhatsApp group, if you sent me a voice note, I just think, like, I don't want to listen to that. It's intrusive, I think.
I'll tell you who sends them. It's always, that dead extroverted mate who's fucking well annoying. You could put up with them for 5 minutes on a night out, but you don't want to get cornered for 3 hours. Them.
Yeah.
Hey Dan, fuck off. Send a text. So I read it in my own time.
Well, you sent me a voice note, and I don't. But you told me you book a lot of business, or you get a lot of business through voice notes. So, say if I'm a business owner now, and I wanted something tangible to take away from listening to this podcast. So, how do voice notes work? How would I structure a voice note? When should I use it? What's it good for? So, just take me through that process now. So, imagine I'm a newbie, and now I'm going to follow your process to send a voice note to an ideal client. Yeah. Let's see how it works, and we'll give it our feedback.
Okay, so if I was going to send a voice note to a prospect for the first time, I would be connecting with them on LinkedIn. As soon as they've accepted my connection request, I'm going to be straight in there with a voice note. So no kind of message beforehand, no message after. I'm going straight in with that voice note. The reason why you want to be like quite quick with it is to create like that sense of urgency. They've just accepted your connection request, so your name is like fresh in their mind. They might have gone onto your profile. Hopefully you've got a strong personal brand, so you've left an impression, and they've kind of looked at your company or seen your company name, so they know who you work for. So of course, like when you're calling, like you want to be upbeat, like tone of voice is super important. A voice note on LinkedIn can only last a minute long, so you can't kind of trail off, which is definitely a good thing. So you want to be keeping it between kind of 40 to 50 seconds max, so that it's not like overwhelming for that person. And you just want to go in, and you're not pitching your product at all. You're essentially going on their profile, finding something exciting and relevant that you can reach out about, make them feel good. Hey, Mike, saw your video on toxic toxic positivity yesterday, thought it was amazing, especially loved this bit. Thanks for sharing that, like making you feel good, giving you a bit of an ego boost. And then kind of subtly saying something like, just on that note, wanted to make you aware of this, without kind of giving the whole sales pitch like at all, but just subtly dropping something in there. And then a very kind of gentle call to action, like, not sure if this is relevant at all to you, Mike. Appreciate you're probably super busy, but look, if you do want to chat, let me know.
And how successful would you say that is for yourself personally doing that?
So for me personally, it was my most successful channel of booking meetings. So 90% of my meetings as an SDR all started from sending a voice note.
See, what I find interesting about that is, take the voice note out now and say that was you were going to type that message out. You would get hammered on LinkedIn for saying like, oh, straight away you're already suggesting what you do as a business. People say connect and don't send a message, even a DM.
They do. I mean, and does it matter what sort of voice you got? Because you got quite a prim,
I was about to
prim
say
proper
that.
voice. As much as
that.
oh, that's not offensive, but you have prim. If I leave a voice note, Dan Kelso from Offended, you prick. That's doing some business or what? You know what I mean? They're going to go, absolutely not.
Holly didn't say that, though.
I don't
Her
think
structure was very clever.
No, I've got to work on the delivery, I know.
It was personalised, it was relevant.
So
yeah.
So that you're saying that's important.
Well, I mean, voice-wise, is that going to affect it?
She said, I'd heard your stuff, seen it, and then this is what we do, but it was relevant to you, not just this is what we do. Do you want to buy some? Very carefully thought.
So was it my message that was wrong?
I mean, I think I wouldn't call someone a prick in a voice note. That probably wouldn't be a good starting point. But I also think like you just have to be quite clever with your tone of voice and almost play a little bit dumb. So like, look, Mike, really not sure if this is relevant at all. Could be completely off here. But just so you know, that kind of like very gentle, soft, like, I know what I'm doing. I know that this is going to work. I know that this is relevant. I've done my research. I've done my homework. But I'm not going in with this. At G2, we are the TripAdvisor, but for software where you sound like an automated call voice, right?
So I'm going to play devil's advocate now. I'm a sales team leader. Mm-hmm. Are my members of staff or my team doing this with their mobiles? Are they, how are they doing this? Are they on LinkedIn on their mobile? I don't kind of get how it works. How are you leaving voice notes?
So you can only leave a voice note on LinkedIn via the mobile app.
All right, okay.
So you can't do it. You can listen to it on like a laptop, but you can't leave it on a laptop.
And then another complaint I'd have or issue I'd bring up is I know there are lots of people that would do anything but having to phone someone. So they would do 10 minutes research, then dial a number, weren't in or whatever. So how much research would you be doing before you left a voice note? Do you see what I mean? Is it like, are you doing 1 minute's research? Are you not really doing much research? Or are you going, this group of people have got similar characteristics, so I can use the same kind of intro for each one? Will you sort of chunk your data like that? How would it work?
So I'm probably spending a minute, maybe less, doing my research before a voice note. All I need to do is go on LinkedIn, look at their most recent post, and make them feel good about it. That's literally it. And it feels hyper-personalised for that prospect, but really, it's very, very easy.
She didn't really watch your episode.
Yeah, I know she didn't. I know she didn't.
Does that? Not many people do. I tell you who does. George. Yeah. Fucking runner. I'm watching you, George. Does that then remove this element of, because I mean, all we see plastered across LinkedIn nowadays is be authentic, right? Where it's fucking marketing, sales, not matter. Be authentic.
There's nothing more inauthentic than that message, I think.
But that's the thing, right? How is, if me just going on someone's profile that I don't know, looking at their latest post, even if I think it's shit, going, hi, Dave, that was an absolutely great post. Look, with you 5.
No, I think you should be honest, because if you want to sell content for people, you almost go, listen, Dave, I've seen your last post. It was shit, mate. I can help you there.
Not for me.
I think you would do well with voice notes, by the way.
For me, it would. But I mean, just in general for a product, if that's all you're doing, you lose that authentic element, don't you? That's not authentic.
I think if I'm like Joe Public and I got a voice note off the Dan Kelsall, the real Dan Kelsall, blue tick, I think it'd blow their mind. I think they wouldn't believe it.
So I just start doing it. I might just start doing something a bit off the wall, like just farting down it. Sorry, what was that? Oh, sorry, just farted. It's me, Dan.
No, I think
I was doing some business.
It's a nice little test. I reckon if you did a couple of voice notes, I reckon you'd get more leads in, like cold voice notes as well. Anybody that liked your, I was going to say anybody that liked your post, but it'd be too many. But if you just picked sort of 10 people that liked your posts, I reckon you would probably get a high win rate or high. Yeah,
well, I'll try it. I'm going to take your method.
However, that's because you're selling marketing. I think if I did it for animated explainer videos for Iron Productions, I think that wouldn't be anywhere near as successful.
Right.
Yeah, I think a point to add there, it definitely works better in like certain industries and for certain ICPs than others. So like for me at G2, prospecting into like sales leaders, marketers, perfect. Like the majority of them love a voice note. Not everyone, don't get me wrong, but like the majority do. However, like a head of finance who maybe doesn't really use LinkedIn and you're popping up with a voice note might not work as well. They might be like, whoa, this is the coolest thing ever. Yeah. But it doesn't always work.
So you would be actively doing it for active people on LinkedIn. So it's like, oh, they use LinkedIn quite a lot. I know they'll probably respond better to this way of sales.
So not necessarily just people that are active on LinkedIn, because I do think some people will surprise you in that maybe they haven't posted in like 2 years. But like I say, when they do get that play button pop up on their phone, they're like, whoa, like this is a bit different. Haven't had this before. And it does excite them. And a lot of feedback I used to get from the voice notes I would send was people coming being like, oh my God, I had no idea that you could send a voice note. Like, this is so cool. Like prospects voice noting me back being like, is this how you do it? Like, this is fun. So I think sometimes the people that you wouldn't necessarily think would respond well to a voice note actually do.
Would you use voice notes?
No.
Yeah. And why is that?
No, because I prefer video.
Oh, wow.
How do you send videos?
You can send video in LinkedIn, you can send video in email as well. So it's get same psychology that people are starting to hear you, but they're starting to see you as well.
So
I know that I'd probably put most people off, but when you're got that little thumbnail with somebody popping up in your inbox, because people aren't doing enough of this, I've got to press play.
Yeah, I find that
and then
interesting
it's
as well.
Personalised, which can either be, hey Dan, I saw that you had said this, or it can be reasonably generic. You could sort of say that ICP, that kind of customer, I could record one that would be valid for sort of 10, 12 people.
Yeah.
Same video, send it out to all of them. There you go. I've now done 10 outreach, 12 outreach in 60 seconds. Or however long it takes me to record the video, which is like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And again, it's only exactly the same thing, short video, 60 seconds, personalised, relevant, call to action.
We had something
and we're trying to get a conversation, remember. We're not trying to say, and here's the link to buy all the stuff straight from
so don't shoot your load too soon on your video.
We're trying to get a conversation up and running.
That's the fluffer.
Yeah, definitely. It's a fluffer video, mate.
But we had something similar with when we were doing websites. Someone had done like a review of our website and stuff, and we were quite impressed by that, weren't we? So it did actually stand out thinking about it now.
But has video and voice notes just replaced cold calling then? This is cold outreach, right?
Yeah.
It's just that we're not getting on the phone anymore because people don't use phones or don't like to be people ringing them up, but they're more than happy to get a voice note or a video.
I think the whole something is dead thing. I mean, that's just a headline on LinkedIn, isn't it? To get
people
no, it isn't. Oh, yes, it is.
Just means you shit it, doesn't it?
So do you think then I think there's two things happening here. Number one, the person sending the voice note or sending the video, they're protecting themselves from instant rejection. So they're removing themselves from that. Because I can send you a voice note, you don't respond. I don't feel like I've been rejected. I'm not sat there going, told no, don't call me again. Like, take my number off your database. So you're kind of removing that part, which I used to get a lot of, by the way, especially at BT. And then I just put them back in the dialer system so they get a call back 2 minutes later. Fuming. You were fuming when you got one of them as well. It's the 6th time you've called me today. It's like, it's going to be 7, mate. Set call back 4 minutes. But then also, you're then letting the buyer, they're not feeling under pressure. So if you've left me a voice note now for something that I might need, I can kind of think about it. I'm not on the spot. I don't have to respond. So do you think we've all just become a little bit, we don't like being sold to, and we don't like selling to people because we feel that's a bit dirty and sleazy. So it's almost like, this is what I do. You know where I am if you need me. And they're going, all right, I kind of know what you do. When I need you, I'm going to get in touch with you because you've got a good personal brand. So are we kind of agreeing then that sales has changed? It has, hasn't it? Because that never would have happened before.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe.
So is the best way to sell a combination of both?
It just seems like, I mean, like I say, I think it's changed at a granular level, but I think it's still do something to get someone's attention and build a bit of rapport with them.
Yeah.
Get into the negotiating stage, get some money off them. That's not changed. I just think that the methods we do.
You need to do something before negotiate. You don't want to be talking to them about what it is. Yeah.
Maybe that's what I'm getting at. This is why I don't sell. See? No idea.
You probably just haven't recognised the stage, which is we get into a conversation, we start to understand what it is you're trying to achieve, how we could help with that. I want to do it like this, Dan. Fred, I'm not sure that's a good idea, mate. You probably want to do it like this. Oh, okay, right. I hadn't thought of that. No, because it's my job to think like that. Okay, cool. Okay, what would that be worth? So that's the conversation with the middle.
That's the reason I don't recognise it, because Dean does that, because I don't like people. I just go, Dean, if somebody got in touch, and then Dean does the rest of it.
So bring it back to the original question: is old school selling dead? It sounds like what we've talked about there is prospecting isn't, and we still need to fill our pipelines. We just maybe do that in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
But old school salespeople, are they relevant now? Like you always told me that good salespeople are broken. That was like one of the lines when we started at Learning Heroes.
I would say that.
That seems to be changing now. There isn't the get them on the phone and trick them into buying.
Yeah.
Do you think that part of sales is dead now?
Was that ever a part of sales though, or is that just some shit salespeople?
Probably in the 80s.
I just think the boiler room thing,
1890s,
maybe
snake oil, and then 1980s, close. Really good. But I'm not sure anything is dead. I've heard talk about stuff has evolved.
Yeah.
So if you look at sales and what's gone on in sales and kind of what's gone on over the last sort of number of decades, there's been always something that's reasonably hot that's sort of quite good to do. Now, a lot of that stuff is still relevant. You look back to the 50s, use process. Brilliant. Yeah, we can still use process now. You look back to the 60s, psychology. Yeah, we're going to try to understand how somebody thinks and adapt our behavior to that. 70s, sell benefits. Yeah, absolutely. This is why somebody would want to buy some offers. 80s, closing. Okay, well, if we think about sales as a series of advancements, whether it's SDR to AE or whether you're running the full cycle yourself, that's still relevant. 90s, big deal, big change. That's consultative selling. That's where we spend way more time asking questions of people to help them make sense of stuff. When we go into the noughties, we start talking about value. So, do we all understand? We all, not just I'm going to come and tell you what value is, but do we understand what value can look like? Yeah, then we come into the 10s. That's when we start really talking about personal brand. So you're representing that I am the person that can do this. And to 20s, we come into collaborative selling. So it's not that anything's dead. It's just that it's moving on. We can take the bits which are still worthwhile and useful, kick out the stuff that's rubbish.
But surely there are sections that I did. So, like I started my only real sales job. It was down the road here in Bastard Studio, where it was Ultimate Kitchens Furniture. They gave me a page out of the yellow pages. I was 16. They gave you a list out of the yellow pages. You just worked your way down, speaking to people, cold calling, and then people kicking off, like Mike said. Lasted 2 weeks. I was out of there. Nobody does that now, right? That's gone.
No, you'd be surprised. So we've got 2 clients. This is the other thing. We've got 2 clients who both scaled back their marketing efforts. So they were doing marketing. I think one of them wanted to scale back because they thought it was too silly and unprofessional, and one of them wanted to scale back because they didn't think they were getting the number of leads through for this product that they thought they should be getting. And what they both did instead was scale back the marketing and build 2 call centers, neither of which have worked. So they've literally built these call farms of experienced people, though, not just kids off the street, not just shit like little shits like me who are getting sales jobs on Gumtree.
You'd be an SDR nowadays, mate. They're like the bottom of the. They feel to me like the bottom of the. You'd be a fluffer, yeah. But we had that. Let you on screen.
You had that at Learning Heroes, didn't we, where you outsourced some of the sales activity?
And they were wanky, if I'm honest.
Well, I mean, it's one of them.
That was my review.
I think that these are experienced people. Like one of them sold a business that was mostly made up of call centers. Sold it for a lot of money. I think it's like close to 140 million. The other one sold a business that's like a connectivity business, and again in the hundreds of millions, right? And they both set up very successful businesses based on building these call centers, these massive sales teams that could churn out calls at a massive rate. And then they've tried to replicate the same nowadays for their new startups where they pump loads of money into them, and it's not worked in either instance at all. And they're back to marketing now again, realising that actually that wasn't the way to do it. It doesn't work. Our method of doing things before does not work the same now.
Yeah. Well, I'd look at like the most well-known sales trainers on LinkedIn have all got strong personal brands. All the ones I can think of anyway. There probably are better salespeople out there. But the only ones I see are the ones that are posting out content, and they post a lot of content. And if someone said to me now, Mike, we need our sales team training, what would you do for them? I'd say join VAMO for £15 a month by clicking the link in the description below.
Always be safe.
But then always be selling, yeah. But I'd probably say if it's telephone prospecting, you want Benjamin or you want Callum, or I'd speak about those people, and they've got the strong personal brands. So I kind of agree with you there. I'm quite interested in what you said though about the consultative selling. So you're saying 2020 is consultative selling. Like, what is that and how does that work?
So consultative really came through in the 90s. That's when Neil Rackham did all that research into kind of what salespeople are actually doing. They were trained to close, but actually they weren't doing it. They were asking people more questions to understand their need, which was basically helping them understand implications of stuff of not doing something, like pain or whatever you want to call it.
Because that then you're making the prospect close themselves, essentially, doing it that way.
You're helping them to understand. So for me, salespeople, it's all about making sense. Salespeople, a sense maker is quite a current thing. But that consultative stuff back in the 90s, you look at the kind of the evolutions, and why I say, look, for me, that's why I wrote the book on it, collaborative selling is where we're at now, is that we can take all of this stuff that used to work before, but we can position ourselves as somebody who's going to work with somebody to help them try to achieve what they're trying to do. We're going to do it in a way which is sort of far more about co-creating, working together. We're not got this kind of fight going on and trying to manipulate people into stuff they don't want to do. If we can position ourselves to be doing that, and again, the personal brand helps because you can show that's how I operate, that's where we're going in the 20s.
And that's a case of asking better questions, you positioning the problem, putting a monetary value against it, how much would it cost you to fix? So instead of me selling you and it feeling like a sleazy thing where you've extracted my budget from me and give me a shit product, it's almost like he's identified a problem and we're going to fix this problem in my business together. Is that how it would work?
Exactly. And so that's when you're asking the question about qualifying out, disqualifying. It's, I can't do that with everyone. Don't want to do it with everyone. Yeah. It takes two to tango. To work with this kind of, I talk about partnering mindset. It's as though we're partners. Now, partnerships is something that's deliberate. But if we all think as though we are in partners because we're going to be working together here, and we approach it like that and use the skills involved with that, that's a way more productive and far more pleasant conversation.
Yeah.
So we just need to set it up now, whether it's via an SDR, whether you're setting it up yourself. We want to get into those conversations where we can really start to do some stuff that's going to make a massive difference. That's what good salespeople will do.
So that then has removed that people don't like being sold to anymore, because most people said they don't like being sold to. I did a poll on LinkedIn about this, and pretty much everyone was like, I don't want to speak to a salesperson, but if somebody could help me make the right selection for my business to solve that problem, I want to speak to people that are knowledgeable, know what they're doing.
They want to work with.
Yeah,
they want to work kind of in collaboration, as opposed to you're going to rock up, you're going to talk me until you're trying to bore me to death. I'm just going to say yes, so you go away.
Yeah,
that is old hat. That stuff's dead. It doesn't work. Some people will still try it because they reckon it's a good idea, but they'll do more damage than they'll probably do good. Yeah. But the people who get it and can adapt this approach to sort of, I want to work with the right kind of people who want to work with me. Together we can get to this point that they're trying to achieve, but of course it benefits me because I'm selling the stuff that I sell. That's the more modern sales approach.
Yeah. So it's
now,
not a
whether
rebrand,
anything's
really.
died along the way, we might do less of something, but we can bring in all of the things that are going to aid us in that way of working. That's what smart salespeople do in whichever flavor, whether they're SaaS, whether they're kind of selling trucks, whether they're selling beer, whatever. It's just more modern way of working.
What's one bit of sales advice that stuck with you? What's the best piece of sales advice you've ever had? Put you on the spot. Sorry.
Ooh, interesting.
To the group.
Question. Yeah. To the group, yeah.
One I had very, very early on in the career, make the customer look good. Simple as that. And that's not changed. That's not dead. That's what I just described when I was talking before. It's like, that's a way of doing that more effectively. So, yeah, I'd stick with that one.
Like it.
Yeah, I'd say ask for the sale. The number of people that don't ask for the sale when someone's literally wants to spend money with you and people are still awkward about actually saying, so are we going ahead with that? Like, let's do it. Most people don't want to do that. I imagine you'd be quite bad at that.
I'm bad at lots of things, mate. What?
Actually, like, even when someone said that, like, yes, I'm really interested, but you actually asking for the money of someone.
I'm absolutely terrible. Like, honestly, I was about to say, because my best bit of sales advice I ever received was off myself, where I said, stop celebrating before the ink's dry.
Yeah, that's what I think.
The amount of deals I've gone out, and I've gone on a 3-day bender and gone back, and it turns out we haven't got a deal. Yeah. You know what I mean? So get the fucking contract signed. That's my
money in the bank. It's not a sales, there's money in the bank, is what they say.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard that question asked so many times, but I've never heard anybody quote themselves as giving themselves the best advice.
I did. After a while, I think this doesn't work.
It was worth coming and doing this just for that.
But I would look at it and say, well, you've kind of outsourced that part of the process to Dino, right? So
it's his business as well. He's not outsourced.
No, but what I'm saying is like that he does the bit that he's good at, and you don't do the bit that you're good at. Like me and Ian kind of used to do it that way, but Ian's now actually embraced that sales.
Yeah, I very quickly realised that no matter how hard I try, there's a lot I just can't be good at, and I just stick to it. Now I just stick to getting good at the stuff that I'm good at.
That's what I'm saying.
Better at the stuff I'm good at, rather than trying to solve the. I'm never gonna. I don't think I'm ever gonna be a good salesperson. I'm too nervous and jittery and anxious to start asking for money, and I'll beat around the bush or whatever else. But
I'd say you've got the stronger personal brand, though, eh? So I've never seen Dino do a post on LinkedIn, and I've never seen any of his content on it.
So he doesn't have to.
That's what I'm saying. So you're kind of like
balancing that, isn't it?
It's quite a good split to have.
Yeah.
So you probably social sell, and Dino actually does the.
I don't call it again. I just think social selling's a made up bullshit word. I think I do marketing. He sells the product.
Yeah, interesting.
Holly, have you got a bit of advice that stuck with you? No pressure. No.
Listen more than you talk.
Cool.
I've fucked up there as well.
So that's interesting. One of my original sales trainers says you've got 2 ears, 1 mouth. Use them in those ratio, proportions, percentages, whatever. We'll edit one of those words out.
Yeah.
So they're 2 ears, 1 mouth.
Build on that. Yeah. So 2 ears, 1 mouth. Use them in that proportion. Yeah. 2 eyes, because looking at people, reading the body language, seeing whether what they're saying is consistent with that is big. Hence, jump on video if you can.
1 nose,
go and
smell
see
the bullshit.
Yeah. 1 nose, yeah.
2 feet. So put yourself in their shoes. That for me is the biggie. If you can put yourself in their shoes, so you can start understanding what's important to them, what pains they've got, what things they're trying to achieve, why that's important to them from a business point of view, from a personal point of view. That's probably the biggest of the 2-to-1 ratio.
Yeah.
So 2 ears, 2 eyes, but also 2 feet in their shoes.
Old school selling, is it dead? I don't think it's died. It's just adapted. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
The best bits of it are still around. But if you're smart, utilize what tools you've got at your fingertips, and you will be a far more successful salesperson. Thanks for watching the Views My Own podcast. If this is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your comments below. And also, we've got an online community that helps you improve your marketing, get better at sales, and make your business a little less shit. Click the link in the description.